Hey everybody, welcome to part 21 of building the R2-D2 from Fanhome. Now in this video, we're going to be covering stages 79, 80, 81, and 82. So this should be a good one. I think we're finally going to be finishing up that metal frame that goes inside of R2-D2's body with those parts there. This is really cool. This is the front panel of R2, that front section. And we can see here we got the coin slots, which are actually buttons. There's the electronics for it. We're going to be adding a few components to that front panel. And then we also have this part. This has those vents that go on the front of his body, and I think there's actually sensors that go behind there. Originally I thought that was going to be the speaker, but no, those are like proximity sensors. They look similar to the ones that were in his legs. So this should be a pretty good build, and I can't wait to get started on this one. Here's the magazine for issue 79. So we're getting pretty far along now on this kit, which is great. Because quite frankly, I'm getting pretty tired. I'm ready to be done with this. It's been going on for about 2.5 years now. So, well, it's been at least 2 years for sure. But just some real science and stuff like we usually see in here. So there's the body frame fittings. And that is that other leg support that's going to go in there. It doesn't look like there's much to do in this one. So it's another one of those really quick stages. Here are the parts that we get for stage 79. So we're going to be adding that other piece for the leg bracket support to the frame. Another one of these rods to hold up that upper ring. This goes on to here. And some more screws as well. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is just like on the other side of the other leg attachment, we're going to have this piece. You got these pins right here that match up with these holes, just like that. And then we're going to use the 2.5 by 6 millimeter silver screws to put these in, just like this. Alright, and then we have another one for that side. Alright, so both of those are in place now. So now, just like this other one that we had previously, we are now going to attach this here. Now there's some more pins sticking out that match up to these holes right here, just like this. And then we're going to turn this around. And then it's going to be an awkward thing to screw in like the last time. But this time we're using the 2.5 by 8 millimeter screws. These are the longer ones. Silver ones are for the metal. See if I can get this in here. It's kind of an awkward way to screw these in because you got this part back here is kind of in the way. Okay. Alright, well, let me go ahead and get that in there, and I'll get the other one, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all complete. Okay, so I don't know why that was so much trouble to get in there, but I finally did. One side went in just fine, one screw did, the other one just was nothing but a complete fight. I don't know if it was the screw itself, but I'm going to try that. This is the screw that I had a hard time with, so we're going to see if it'll work for this next step. Now the next step is we're going to take this rod and we're going to put it right inside this hole right here. So we'll go and put this through. We'll see if this actually screws using that one screw I was struggling with. Sometimes I get a screw that's not good. It's like it just wasn't made right. But no, this one, see, that one works just fine. And that's exactly the same screw. Alright, so I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's just because of the awkward way that you have to screw this in. You're at an angle and it tends to make the screw go in the wrong way. Alright, so let me tighten that up, and then that will be the end of stage 79. There's not much to do in this one. Here's the magazine for issue 80. Just kind of quickly thumb through this. Like I said, I don't really read that much into these magazines. It's got some, interesting information here and there, but I'm not really into some of it. I do like the real world science, though. I think that's really awesome. So front body panel and details. Yes, we finally get to that front body panel. That's really cool. And so here we're going to be adding some details to it. Just the little sensors and stuff. And then we have the buttons, those little coin slots. For those of you who don't know, R2-D2 had a lot of vending machine parts on him, including these. These are actually the coin slots for a vending machine, and this was where the change would drop out at the bottom of the machine. So it's pretty funny that they just used random stuff like that to make up the details on R2. So it'll be fun to do some more electronics on here. I don't think we're going to be plugging those in just yet, but I'm glad to be getting some stuff done on the front of him. Here are all the parts that we get for stage 80. Now this piece is pretty cool. Look at that. That's a substantial piece right there. That's the front of R2's body. So you can see where all that stuff is going to go. Here's what the inside of it looks like. This is a very nice piece. We also have the little change slot and the buttons, the coin slots. This is very cool. These are going to actually be the buttons that will power him on, and if you don't use the app, I think you can do some things with these buttons. And speaking of that app, I went on the Google Play Store and I can't find the app to the R2-D2 there. It used to be called the D'Agostini R2 or the Fanhome R2-D2, and I can't find it. So I hope that Fanhome knows about that so that we can, use the app, because that's not a good thing. So I hope they figure that out. This is the top piece that's going to go up here, and then a nice metal bracket. I think that's for the circuit board, and here is that circuit board. I've got all the buttons on here, and that's where these are going to go into play there. These two pieces are going to go together, and that's the housing for the circuit board, and then we have some wires. Alright, let's get started on this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put this piece on. Now you got to make sure that the part that has the ridge that sticks up the highest right here, that's the top of it. So this part. Alright, and that just fits right in here, like that. And then we're going to use the 2.3 by 6 millimeter black screws to put this in. These are the ones we usually use for the plastic parts. Okay, and then I'll just do another one right over here. Okay, so that's in place now. Screwed in. Alright, so next we're going to use this piece, the little coin slot thing. That's going to go right in here. And then we're going to use the same screws, the 2.3 by 6 millimeter black screws, to screw this one in. So we'll get that started. Okay, and then another one right there to hold it in place. Alright, so that part is in place now. So next, we are going to install this piece. So now, once again, like the other one, there's an arrow on here somewhere. Oh, here it is. See that little arrow right there? That indicates that that's the bottom of it. So we're going to put it in like this. That fits in there really nice. Then you flip it over, and then you have this piece. Now, see how there's a notch right in there at the top? That notch has got to fit this notch here. So you just kind of match those up like this. And then another 2.3 by 6 millimeter black screw to hold this all into place. If I can try to do it without everything falling apart. Okay, and there it is. That looks really cool. I love it. Alright, so next we're going to put these buttons in. So we're going to flip this over. Now you'll see this little mounting hole right there. So we're just going to match this up like this. And that's going to fit right in there. Just like that. Alright, let me flip this over. And then we're going to use another 2.3 by 6 millimeter black screw to get this in here. These are the buttons that I mentioned. Clever use of the details on R2 to make these buttons, so that's really neat. Alright, so that looks good. Next, we're going to work on the circuit board now. So we'll just take this wire that came with this circuit board and this parts pack, and we're going to plug these in. Now, once again, there's those holes. You got to make sure you line it up with those pins in there. So make sure you get them the right way. Let me see, which way is which here? I think it goes this way. Alright, so let's get these lined up and just push these down in place. Maybe. Can we lock them in? Fits kind of tight. I don't want to push on the buttons. Okay, there we go. Just kind of have to kind of go back and forth. I can feel them kind of lock in place. Alright, I think I'll go ahead and keep these tied up for now. And now, let's see, I just want to make sure this is in there good and tight. Alright, so now we're going to take this housing and we are going to connect this to this. Now, I was noticing there's a pin sticking up. right here. See it? There's one that's supposed to be on this side, but mine came with a broken pin. But it's not a big deal because it's mainly just for alignment purposes. So let's turn this way. And then these 3 holes down here are going to have to match with the screw hole. So you're going to screw it to this anyway. So let's just make sure we get that pin, the only pin that exists on there. Let me get this wire out of the way. Okay, there we go. Alright, and then we'll just go ahead and make sure everything's flush, which it looks like it is, and then we're just going to go ahead and start screwing this together. So the 2.3 by 6 millimeter screws are going to come into play with this again. So let me go ahead and put this on. Now you don't want to screw these in too tight because you don't want to crack the circuit board. So just kind of snug it on. And then there's 2 more that go right here, so let me get those put on. Okay, so next we're going to put this metal bracket on here. So you got to have it facing this way. The switch is here, so make sure the wire is coming out on the lower left right there. And then make sure that this part that comes up is on the top. Well, you'll see this guide hole right here. See that little thing right here? So that way you can't mess it up. Let me see if I can get that on. And then, pardon the crows in the background. Got a bunch of crows out here today. Alright, so 2.3 by 6 millimeter screw again to hold this in place. Let's get that in there. Just like so. And then we do another one right there. And that should complete this little part. Okay, there we go. Now the next step is to attach this to where the buttons are. So this bracket is going to fit right up here and down here. So you just kind of match up these holes like this. Fits really nice in there. And let's see, this one here just kind of rests on top of that. Alright, so let's start with the screw right here, the 2.3 by 6 millimeter screw once again. Okay. Go ahead and get that going. And then we'll do one more down here. Alright, so that's mounted in place. So now these buttons will click. You'll hear them click for each thing. So let me see now. I think these are kind of like a manual override in case you can't get the app to work. And as I mentioned, if we don't have the app, we may have to only use these. I'll have to see. I'm going to have to write Fanhome and ask them about that. So this first button is the patrol mode, on and off. I think he'll just kind of wander around on his own. Arms in and out, that's for these blue ones. There's going to be little motors that make these arms come out. That's going to be fun. Lightsaber up and down for this one. Pair mode, connect Wi-Fi, so he will have this Wi-Fi connected. Let's see, this one, switch connection mode. I'm not sure what that is yet. And this is just to power them on and off. So, yep, these all work. Just make sure they click when you push them. So that is it for stage 80. Here's the magazine for issue 81. Ah, yes, CGI. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of CGI stuff. I still like practical effects. Something about models, you know. A model looks real because it is real. And oftentimes the CGI distracts me in movies to the point where it kind of takes me out of it, because it tends to look like a video game or cartoons. But there is some really well done CGI as well, so I guess it just depends on who's doing it. So this is another simple level, just doing some more body frames. We're going to finish up that top ring, and I think hopefully this should finish up that, that whole frame that goes inside of R2's body. Here are the parts we get for stage 81. Now this is going to be a super simple stage. Just make sure you have the numbers facing up on each metal part. Then you're just going to put this in here, the little connector bit, and you use these short, let's see, which ones are these? These are the 2 by 4 millimeter screws. They're metal, silver screws, are really tiny ones. Same ones we used when we were putting together the frame for R2-D2's head. Okay, and then this one's going to go right here, and you make sure you get the 2 dovetail bits right together like that. And then the same thing is going to go with this and this, and then we'll do the 3 more screws, 1 more here and 2 more on this side, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. And there it is, nice and solid. Perfect. So that's all there is to stage 81. It's another one of these stages that could have been combined with another one. Kind of unfortunate. All right, moving on to the next stage. Here's the magazine for issue 82. Ah, the lightsaber battles. I bet those took a ton of rehearsals. I like Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan's lightsabers. I think they looked really cool in that movie. So this last section has got a lot to do. We're going to be adding a couple of compartments in R2's front section, and those vents and the sensors, and I think, but I'm not sure, I think we test those sensors too. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of steps in this one, so I knew 82 was a big one. But there's a lot to do in this one, and I like it. I like when there's lots to do. I don't like those stages that has, 4 pieces that you screw together and that's it. So this is a substantial part of the build. Alright, so that should be a fun one. Here are the parts that we get for stage 82, and now we're talking. Finally getting some good stuff now. So here's the blue frame that goes around the vents for R2's front section. Here are the actual grills for the vent. You'll notice that they're slightly different from each other. Here are those sensors that go on the front. I think they're like distance type of sensors. There's 2 of them. A ton of screws this time, which is good. Also, we got this door panel for this compartment. There's no arms in this. I think it's just strictly for looks inside here. I suppose you could probably weather that if you wanted to. Here's the other compartment. It's a small one. And then we have the small door for that compartment as well. And this is, I think, the housing for these. It's going to go inside there. And these, I think, are the little hinge bits. They're really small. There's 3 of them, so you don't want to lose those. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with this compartment. So we have this door, and we have this hinge. Now it's this particular hinge that goes right in between these. So you line up the holes, and then, see if I can get them lined up there. Now you're going to take this big long screw. This is the 2 by 15 millimeter screw. It's a long one that I'm starting to lose right here. Alright, and then we're going to screw this in, just like this, making sure it goes through the entire hinge here. Make sure it's all lined up. Okay, oh boy, that just goes right through. A little off camera there, wasn't I? Alright, so we'll screw this in, like so. And, see, I'm not sure I got it fully tightened here. Let me try not to strip out my good screwdrivers, because when you get to the point where you're tightening these down, you can really strip them out. Okay, so let me make sure I got that on right. Okay, so that's good to go. Now we're going to make this post go through this hole, so you have to go through the inside. Now this isn't going to be easy to film, so I've got to try to line it. Oh, by the way, make sure that this is easily turned. Okay, so now let's try to line that up. I wonder if I should just go in like more straight here. Okay, try to get it through that hole. Ah, there, I think I got it. Good. Alright, so then we use a 2.3 by 6 mil screw to hold this in place. Okay. Alright. Okay. And then the door should open just fine. There's a little bit of a click there, but that's to, I think, hold it in. Hope that stays down. Yeah, I'll have to see what's going on with that. Alright, well let me look into that, and then that should be it for that part. Alright, so I took that piece out again, because if you look, you can see this is a little bit crooked. See how that's not aligned straight? So when you had it in there, I think that's why that's not shutting all the way. So I don't know if this was molded weird or what, but you can see how the head of that is just not the same. I think what I'll try to do is heat it really quick with a little lighter or something and see if I can bend it, this way a little more and see if that'll work. Alright, well I give up on this thing. I've been messing around with it for about 45 minutes. So I honestly think that this piece here it was clearly molded incorrectly. I mean, you can see how wonky it is. I think they pulled it off the mold before the plastic had cooled. I tried to heat this up with a lighter to try to straighten it out, because this was leaning this way really bad, and I tried to straighten it out, and it does close a little better, But then the other problem is underneath here on that axle, there's these little tabs that are supposed to fit down inside. Underneath here, there's like a little catch for those pieces to get in there, and they were misaligned. When you closed the lid, they were way over here on this end and not in the middle where they're supposed to be. So I think this is just a faulty piece, which is unfortunate. So, you know, I mean, it's no big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. Once I get this installed onto R2-D2's front panel, I think I'm just going to glue this door shut, because otherwise it's going to hang out like that. So that way I can get it aligned properly, and I'm just going to glue it shut, because it's really not important to me whether this opens or not, because there's nothing in there. It's just a little bit of detail, but it's not like it's essential. There's no little arms or anything that come out of this spot. So yeah, this reminds me of the Star Trek communicator, Kirk to Enterprise. It's like you flip it open like a communicator. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what's the matter with this thing. So I give up on it. I think that piece is just mismolded. But I guess that's just how it is. I guess I could have Fanhome send me another one, but it's really not that important. So I'll just make this work. Now, moving on with the build, we're just going to have this panel to work on now. So we're going to put the hinges on for these. So we're going to align these two holes together right there and there. And then you got to make sure it's on the outside here. So we're going to use the 2x9mm screws. These are really long. Line up the holes. Try to screw this in here. Now you want to support, since you got to push against these kind of hard, you want to support this part because you don't want it to break while you're pushing on it. So it's a little bit challenging, but you don't want to break anything. Alright, and then make sure this works like it does. And we're going to do the same thing for that side, and we're putting it on the outside there. Okay, so those are in place now. Just make sure that these are loose enough to turn. Now we're going to put the square edges of these into this compartment, so you'll see the square holes that go in there. So let's see if we can try to line these up. Not the easiest thing. You kind of want to keep moving on you. Okay, there's one. There's the other. I think I got it. Okay, oh, there we go. That one really pushed in further now. See if I can get this one to go. Tell you, boy, I'm getting a lot of fighting here with these hinges today. Alright, well, let me see if I can get this one in. Let me see if I can get that one in there. Alright, eventually got it in there now. So, now we're going to secure these with the 2.3x6mm screws. So let's go and get these in here. Like that, and then one more goes right in there. There we go. And this one actually works. Yay! See, now that's how it's supposed to work. Definitely a different hinge system compared to that other one. It's a shame that this one here is so screwy. Ah well, guess it can't be all perfect. Now it's time to install these pieces in. So we bring out the front body panel again. So just align the holes right in here, and that fits really nice. Look how good that fits. So we're going to use the 2.3x6mm screws to hold this in place. So we'll go ahead and get that going. Okay. And then there's one more right here, so let me get that put in. Alright, there we go. And now they even give you a little nail hole right here that you can open this up. And there you go. There's the other panel. Not much going on in that one either. But it's really cool that they do offer that ability to open that. Alright, so now we're ready to start this one. This is the one that won't close. This one's going to fit down in here, as you can see, very similar to the other one. I'm going to probably have to glue this. I know I'm going to have to glue this door because that's going to drive me nuts. And let me see, are the holes not going to align? Oh, there we go. No, I got it in there. Yeah, I mean, look at that. This whole thing is just not, it's just not even fitting right. It's weird. Oh, there we go. But yeah, well, it's not so bad now. Oh well, we'll see. Let me go ahead and put this one in now. This uses the same screws, the 2.3x6mm self-tapping screws, the black screws. Like I said, I'm just going to glue that door because it's just going to bother me. And since I'm not probably ever going to open them. I mean, I'm not even sure I'm going to open up the ones that have the little arms in them all that much. The only ones that I'll probably ever open are the blue ones, and that's because they're motorized. Alright, so let me get one. Oh, let's see. Yeah, let me get the other one put in right there. Alright, so that one's all done. So there we go. You know, actually that doesn't stick out all that much. I mean, see, it doesn't shut all the way. Maybe I can glue a magnet or something in there. But I don't want the magnet to be too strong because I don't want it to interfere with those sensors right in there. I don't know. Like I said, it's really not that big a deal for me whether this opens or not. I'll probably just glue it. Who cares if that opens? Alright, on to the next step. Next, we're going to be working on the grills. So there's two different ones here. You can kind of see the difference. This one's got more of the little grill lines, while that one's got only 3. The one with only 3 goes on the bottom here, and they only go in one way because of the angle of that lug right there. So this one goes on the bottom like that. Then we're going to use the 2.3 by 6 millimeter screws to hold this in place. Get that in there. Okay, and then another one goes on that side, so let me get that done. Okay, so that is screwed in place now. So now the same thing going on with this one. Put that right in here. And same thing, 2.3 by 6 millimeter black screws. They go in at an angle there. Alright, so let me get the other one put in. Now we're ready to install the little sensors in the front here. So now if you look, let me see if I can get it in the light just right. These are labeled individually. So this one here, see that little T? That T is for transmitter. And then this one here is marked, see if I can get it in the light. Let's see, is it on that side? Yeah, see how that's got an R? That's for receiver. So we're going to start with the transmitter first. So we're going to take this housing piece. So you want the part that's got this pointy part at the top. This goes in here. So let's go and feed the wire through and install this into the housing like this. See how the wires go? And then we're going to take the receiver and do the same thing. Feed these through. There we go. And those go right in here. These are kind of neat, these components. Alright, so yeah, you fit them in there the right way. Alright, so now we're going to install it onto this piece here. So let me see. On the back, you'll notice that there is a little tab right here. See that? So you want to match that up with the tab right here. So let's go ahead and get this on here. Alright, so let's get the tab aligned, and then there's also this lug for the screw hole right there. That goes in here. So let's get these lined up. Goes right on. It's perfect. Now we're going to use a different screw this time. Let's see, which one is this? This is the 2 by 6 millimeter flanged screw. Flange. So that's this one here. You got the little flange on there. Let's get that on. Assuming this goes on straight. That should hold this entire assembly on just like that. Okay, so now it is time to test the sensor. We're going to break out these 2 circuit boards that we've had laying around for quite some time. So the battery box plugs into this one, and then we had these leads that were laying around for a while. The one that's got the blue and yellow wires, it goes from this piece here over to this far one on this end. So if you're having to test this, the instructions show you where all the wires go. This red and yellow one goes from this end over to this. So if maybe you can kind of match it up if you're testing it. Now the transmitter, the top sensor, that one goes into this one here, and if you look inside there, it says TX. It's down inside. Well, I don't know if I can show it because everything's all connected. there's a tiny little TX down in there. I'm not sure if I can get the light on it, but TX is for transmitter, RX is for receiver, and that's going to be the one on the bottom. Alright, so now let's turn this on. Now, you want to make this face out where there's nothing in front of it. You're going to have the lights on the board right here. So let's turn the power on. Okay, now let's see if I can get this so we can see it. Now that's just the power indicator. Now if something gets in front of R2, a yellow light should show up right here. So let's get my hand, see how the yellow light comes on. And then when I move my hand away, it goes off. So I've got my hand right here, and then I move it away, and it goes off. So that is good. Those sensors are working properly. Thank goodness. Alright, so I had to make a couple of corrections here. When I was screwing in these grills, I used the regular 6mm screws, and it should have been the flanged ones. Let me see if I can get a close-up here. So the flanged screws are supposed to be what you use for this, 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 and this. Now this one, when I was taking out the other screw, it broke the little lug that makes this go in here. So I ended up just gluing what's left of the lug inside there. So I didn't actually need another screw. So that's just super glued in there. And then I put the proper flanged screw on there, and that's fine now. So yeah, so make sure you use the right ones. Alright, so now we're ready to install this into the front panel. So the part that has this little pointy thing, that's the top. So we're going to put these wires through these holes here, or this hole. Tuck these in like this. And then, of course, that wire is getting caught in there. Alright, so now this is going to go in here. Let's see, I'm not sure if there's any tabs or anything. I think this is supposed to fit nice and flat. Oh boy, it does that. That fits really good. Alright, nice. Okay, so now we're just going to secure that with the 2.3 by 6mm screws. And that's how I realized I had used the wrong ones. So let me see, I'll just try to get this one in here just to kind of get it started. And then try to get that going. At least we can kind of get one attached. Alright, and then there's 1, 2, 3 more, so let me get that all put in. Alright, so that is now installed and everything is good to go. Quite a bit of work done on this front panel. There's a lot of stuff that we got put in here, and it's cool to have this piece. So yeah, that's all the stages of 79, 80, 81, and 82. We're really getting close to the end of this, thank goodness. I think we're going to put that ring on the top of this here pretty soon. Also next time, I think we're going to be working on these little blue arms. It's quite a little mechanism that makes those work. I'm still having issues with this door. I think I'm just going to glue it. Like I said, there's really nothing going on in there for me to really be concerned as to whether that opens or closes. It's, yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But a couple of hiccups here and there, but the rest of it went together pretty decent. So yeah, alright, well I guess that's it. Oh, I should mention we have a bunch of screws left over too, so we'll save those for the next time. Alright, well that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'd very much appreciate it. And until the next video, I will see you then. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good one!